Old School Bodybuilding Clothing Company. If you're the hardest training person at your gym, you are old school. If you hate math but you can count by 45s, you are old school. OSBBC.com for the hardest training athletes.
After working hard at the gym, you need a mattress that works as hard as you do. Spinalign has engineered the perfect mattress for you and your active lifestyle. Don't compromise your recovery with inferior sleep. Order your Spinalign mattress today.
Hey guys, we're super excited to be here at the LA Fit Expo. It's our third year in a row. And what we're going to be doing today is we're going to be launching the Tasty Pastry. It's a low-carb Pop-Tart. It's got 3 to 4 grams of net carbs. And we love this show. This is our best place to be in LA.
RX Television on RxMuscle.com. This is Ask Dave, better known as hashtag Ask Dave, your 30-minute question and answer show with Dave Palumbo. All your questions, diet, training, supplementation, IFBB pros, news, whatever is going on in and outside the bodybuilding world, it is all on the table. On behalf of RxMuscle, a happy Thanksgiving to you and your families. Hope everyone is staying safe. We at SpeciesNutrition.com have an epic 3-day, or rather 3-part sale set up starting tomorrow, Thanksgiving Day, as we now bring in Dave Palumbo. Dave, Thanksgiving Day, Black Friday, and Cyber Monday sales at SpeciesNutrition.com.
Exciting. I'm just going to show you this. Should I not tell them anything, right? Or should I tell them something?
You told the first part.
About this Amino Evolved that I'm going to be giving away for free at SpeciesNutrition.com. In addition to another very special offer. So guys, I'm not going to say anything more. Keep your eyes peeled to our YouTube channel, our Instagram, my Instagram, and anything else that showcases our stuff, because we got a great Thanksgiving Day sale coming up, and you're going to be able to nail one of these fermented, 100% fermented amino acid products, blue raspberry flavor, absolutely delicious. I drink this all day long. My kids drink this all day long, and you're going to get it for free. Only for Thanksgiving 2020. How's that, Sid?
Perfect. That was excellent. That's what you call compelling advertising and marketing.
That's right.
No, but we can only unveil that first part. That Amino Evolved will be involved in the package. So there's going to be a Thanksgiving sale, a Black Friday sale, and a Cyber Monday sale. So keep it locked to the RxMuscle YouTube channel, and as well as Species Nutrition on Instagram and on YouTube as well, for all the details of the 3-part sale. A lot to get to. We've been loading up Dave's schedule. I know Dave's exhausted right now, but we've been loading him up with pre-Olympia interviews. So we're going to tease a little bit. We have Ruli Winkler. We just got done interviewing Shanique Grant, Hunter Labrada. We had Dan Solomon yesterday. Jonathan Withers won the 2020 NPC Nationals as well yesterday, and a whole slate coming up over the course of the next 2.5 to 3 weeks. Let's get to the questions. The first
Hold
two
on,
questions.
before we start, I got to thank Jose Robles for sending me this incredible looking. Look at that RX. I don't know if you guys can see it on the camera.
Oh, that's sweet.
Very much so.
Thor's hammer with a beautiful inscription that says, "Whoever shall hold this hammer, if they be worthy, shall possess the power of Thor." I obviously be worthy because I'm holding it. maybe if Tyler tried to pick it up, he might not have the budget. But I am worthy. Thank you, Jose. This is an awesome thing. I got this yesterday. My son got a hold of this and he broke it already, but I glued it back together. So thank you so much. This is awesome. And once again, I love when the fans use their creativity to do nice things for us, and makes me feel appreciated. Thank you.
I was just going to ask you if I could borrow that Olympia weekend and just walk around the Olympia, the convention center, walking around with the RxMuscle Thor hammer. But
there you go. Maybe we could turn it into a microphone.
There you go. Perfect. Let's get to the questions. Of course, the first two questions from the Dave Palumbo Experience app. The first question, Dave, I've been using melatonin on and off for a few years. Are there any long-term health effects? Anything I should be worried about? Anything dangerous about melatonin?
No, I'm a big advocate of it. In fact, Species Nutrition's Somalize nighttime sleep aid fat burner uses melatonin. I use it almost every night. I get a great night's sleep. It's actually, they've shown that, COVID depletes intracellular production of melatonin. Most of us think that melatonin is produced in the pineal gland of the brain, and I thought that too. I found out recently that it's also produced inside the cells, and the cells use it almost as an antioxidant system, grabbing up free radicals and neutralizing them, et cetera, et cetera. So they think that COVID actually disables the melatonin production inside the cell, which makes them more vulnerable to the virus, getting in there and doing its thing. So taking melatonin supplementation can certainly help, making you more resistant to COVID. So like I said, I take 3 pills of Somalize before bed. I like to combine my melatonin with GABA. So, because melatonin doesn't make you fall asleep, it keeps you in a deeper sleep. But GABA will, relax GABA will stimulate the GABA receptors in your brain and relax your body. So the GABA combined with the melatonin is a great combination if you have trouble falling asleep and then staying asleep and getting a good quality of sleep at night. So yeah, there's nothing wrong with taking it. Matter of fact, as we get older, our melatonin production from the brain starts to slow down, and then by the time I think we're something like 60, we almost produce no melatonin whatsoever. And that's why older people have trouble with their sleep cycles. If you notice, a lot of old people go to bed weird times. They wake up 4 in the morning. They don't. It's almost like their body doesn't know their time clock is off, and it's because they don't produce any melatonin. So it's nice right before bed. You take your dose of melatonin, and it kind of resets your clock, so to speak.
Second question, again from the Dave Palumbo Experience app. Dave, I know you prefer spreading the carbs, 150 in 5 meals, 30 each, but I need more carbs before I train. In my case, breakfast, post-training, and the next meal. Is it wrong to take 40, 40, 40, 30, 0, 0 for having better training and for better recuperation?
Look, not everyone needs 150 grams of carbs. I mean, eat more carbs. Eat 300 grams of carbs a day and space them out equally. All I'm saying is that when you eat your carbs, I feel that when you spread them out over the meals throughout the day, it's better than having huge bursts of carbs before and after you work out and then not having carbs the rest of the day. I just don't think first of all, I don't think it really matters if you do it that way. I just think you get very uneven blood sugar levels all day long when you're getting a huge spike here and then a drop and then a huge spike and then the rest of the day there's nothing. You're going to go down and have low blood sugar all day. So to me, it logically just doesn't make sense,
Let's go to our Instagram questions. Again, if you're not already following us, our handle is official_RxMuscle. Again, if you're not following us on YouTube, hit the subscribe button below, hit the notification bell. You're not going to miss any of our uploads. Of course, now we are in the thick of the Iron Road to the Olympia. So over the course of the next 3 weeks, interview upon interview, preview segments, episodes of Iron Debate, and a whole lot more analysis segments leading into Olympia week. And then, of course, in 3 weeks, we will be there at the Olympia in Orlando, Florida. Hard to believe, but yes, it will be in Orlando, Florida in 3 weeks. So you're not going to want to miss any of our coverage from there as well. Hit the subscribe button, notification bell. And if you like what you're watching, hit the thumbs up, comment below. Obviously, that helps us. And as always, we appreciate your support.
One more thing, Sid, I want to just bring up. I have a great stocking stuffer, special offer for all those people out there that are trying to think about getting gifts for their significant others, or maybe their sons or daughters or fathers or whatever. The Bill Llewellyn Anabolics 11th edition. This book is thousands of pages. Maybe not thousands, but it's a big, huge book. It's probably the greatest book ever written on anabolic compounds from anabolic steroids and peptides and GH and insulin and all those things that go in that category. And SARMs, and anything you could possibly think about. Bill Llewellyn has cataloged in this book over the last 15 years or so. This is the 11th edition. It's the most recent. This book goes for over $80 normally. I am offering it for $54.99. Special holiday sale, just because I know people are trying to think of things to buy, to put in stocking stuffers, to wrap up for their good friends that are bodybuilders possibly. This book is great. If you go to davepalumbo.com, maybe Tyler can pull that up. We have a big banner on there, and you can purchase this book for a tremendous, tremendous discount. Offering it only for a limited amount of time. So guys, when the books run out, and I have to order more, that's it. So quick sale. Just once again, I was trying to think of things. I was thinking of things of the gifts to buy people, and I'm like, you know what? This would be a great gift for people to give, especially in our bodybuilding community. So there it is, $54.99. Anabolics 11th edition.
Interesting one here. Obviously, we are in a unique circumstance with the Olympia being in December. So now all of a sudden Thanksgiving is about 2.5 weeks prior to Olympia athletes stepping on stage. Mike Palmer wants to know, if you had a client in the Olympia, would you allow them a Thanksgiving cheat this year?
Yes. I give everyone a once a week cheat meal anyway, unless they're behind. So I have most of my clients, because there's a lot of shows still coming up at the end of the year, that the USA, and there's a bunch of local shows as well. I am allowing my people to have their Thanksgiving Day cheat meal. Now, if they were really, really behind, which I don't have anyone who's really, really behind, I would probably say, just have some turkey with no carbs. But most of my guys and girls can afford to have a cheat meal on Thanksgiving.
Mr. Loney wants to know, Dave, your competition weight versus your current weight.
Dramatically different, I'll tell you that much. I weigh about 185 pounds now. My whole life, my dad was always like, 185 is my magic number. When he would gain too much weight, he'd go on a diet. Except my dad's 185 was nothing like my 185. I have like striated glutes now. This is a good body weight for me because I feel good. My blood pressure is really almost low on this at this weight, and I move around well. My joints are not hurting me or anything like that. I can train. I have a lot of energy. The most important thing is chasing my kids around. I have young kids, and I'm an older father, so I got to be able to chase them and keep up with them, and so that's important to me. This is a good weight for me. Now I competed at. Don't forget about it. My heaviest, 281 was my heaviest at the North American Championships one year. My normal best weight was usually around 265 or so. But so that's a significant difference. That's like 80, 90 pounds, almost 100 pounds, difference from that. And it's believe me, I feel it. I'm much lighter on my feet. And when you get into your 50s, okay, you can still feel good, and I do feel really good. I have a lot of energy. I can do everything. I don't sleep as much as I'd like to because of my kids, but other than that, I feel very good. But if I weighed 250 pounds, I probably would be exhausted all the time. I could never, ever do it. So, imagine strapping, 245-pound plates to your back and trying to walk around with that. That's a lot of weight on your body. So you have to adapt. And so that's what I've done over the years. And the great thing is I didn't just drop 100 pounds, in 6 weeks. I did it over the course of 15 years. So that's what you have to do. You have to constantly, once you decide, okay, I'm done competing, you downsize slowly. And I noticed Jay's been doing it. I noticed that, Dennis James has done it. You got to do it slowly and progressively so that you keep good quality gains, but you're taking away that extra bulk muscle that serves no purpose at this point.
We actually have 2 or 3 different questions about peaking. This one's from Lactic Addict. I completely ruined my peak at a competition a couple of weeks ago. He says he's going to hire you for his next competition. When you competed, did you ever completely miss your peak? If so, what mistakes did you make? And I'll add on to that, what did you learn from those mistakes?
Never completely missed my peak. I wouldn't get on stage if I didn't look my best. There was a couple of years where I overdieted, like 96 USA overdieted. I stayed out in Venice, California for about 2 weeks, and there's nothing to do there but train. I was going to Gold's Gym 3 times a day, and I was doing too much cardio, and I just kept thinking, I'll get more ripped, and I was 10 pounds too light, just probably lost a little bit of muscle, just over-dieted. And I think we've all made that mistake before, but I still look good, but I definitely sacrificed muscle and fullness because I was so neurotic about, how much training I was doing. And I kept cutting my food back more. It was a definite amateur mistake on my part. One other time I took advice of someone else, which I never should have, and I didn't use a diuretic for a show. Because everyone's like, oh, you always walk around so ripped and full. You don't even need diuretics. I think you're losing fullness. And they're right, but you know what? A good gym physique is not the same as a good stage physique. I lost the graininess that gave me like the edge over other people. So I was hard and I had striations everywhere, but I wasn't dry, grainy hard, which is what I needed to be to make my physique its best. So those are the two probably miscalculations that I made in my career. And then there were times where sometimes you just don't look as good for whatever reason. I don't know. Maybe just not bursted at the seams, maybe prejudging I wasn't peaked as much as I was for the night show. But I never ever showed up on stage out of shape because I would never allow myself to go to a show out of shape. It's not something that was in the cards. I would have dropped out before I would have done a show out of shape. So it's, that's not a relevant question because I have one of these mindsets that I will endure any torture and suffering that I need to. Whereas some people just don't like to suffer, and that's why bodybuilding is not for everyone. Training is for everyone, but not necessarily competing.
We get this variation of question here and there. It's from Hisham Khatib. Any advice on how to train legs with bad knees? He goes on to say that he tore his meniscus 3 years ago and didn't have surgery on it.
Yeah. It's tough because it's a matter of how bad it is. I would recommend if you have a torn meniscus to wrap your knees so it kind of holds everything together because it's that movement around that sometimes the meniscus doesn't move properly and it clicks around in there and that could be a problem. But if you keep everything nice and tight in the knee area, sometimes that can help. You got to find exercises that don't irritate it. Sometimes people can do squats, but they can't do like leg presses, which locks them into a certain position. Whereas with squats, you can kind of find your stance and you adjust it so that you're in a comfortable position where that knee wouldn't be bothering you. Other times, the stabilization aspect of squats is just brutal and you can't do any squats because of that. And you're better off being locked into a position because then the machine is the one stabilizing the weight. It all depends on what type of injury you have and how bad it is. I used to find that my knees would start hurting me when my orthotics would break down on me because, I wear custom inserted orthotics into my shoes, but they only last max 2 years. And if you weigh, 300 pounds like I did, they probably last a year. So I would always keep them in. I would always wait to get new ones when I way too long. In other words, I'd have to wait till I was in pain and then I would go, oh, I need new orthotics and I'd go get them made rather than proactively get them just done once a year because I was being a cheapo. And that's just the way it goes. You got to kind of figure out what works. Also, I'm not trying to sell my product, but Arthrolyze, which is our joint product from Species Nutrition, you take 10 to 15 pills of that a day and the lubrication aspect of it alone, because it will increase synovial fluid production, will really take a lot of that grinding and that uncomfortableness out of the joint itself. And then of course, all the raw materials that we put in the glucosamine wines and MSM wines are going to help with the repair of any kind of broken down tissue in there. So I would certainly combine that with the training accommodations that I recommended.
Let's go to Jimmy Power. Never heard this fully answered and always wondered, what is the main difference between subcutaneous and intramuscular injections, and why is gear always intramuscular? Please try and use layman terms. I'm an engineer, not a doctor.
The subcutaneous route, which is under the skin or into the fat, essentially, versus the intramuscular route, it's really the same injection route. So like for water-based things like peptides and growth hormone and stuff like that, HCG, which is in a water, you're basically mixing a powder into a water. It doesn't matter whether you do subcutaneous or intramuscular. I like intramuscular because I find that when you inject subcutaneous, a lot of times it irritates the tissue in that area. You get bumps and swelling and redness. Whereas you go into the muscle, it goes right into the bloodstream. It's just easier. So I usually recommend that people do everything intramuscular except insulin, because you don't want insulin going in too quickly. So subcutaneous route is the preferred route for insulin. Now, when it comes to oil-based drugs like anabolic steroids, testosterone and DECA and EQ and all those oil-based drugs, by convention, it's always done intramuscularly usually because you want that stuff in the muscle. If you put it under the skin, it theoretically, in theory, has the same absorption route, but it really irritates and it stays there a while, that oil, and it leaves pockets a lot of times. So I think there's just a lot more opportunity, number one, to get infections, for it to really be uncomfortable and cause a lot of redness and irritation. So I recommend that you're doing your anabolic steroid shots intramuscular and as deep as possible. The deeper you go, the less likely you're going to see any kind of irritation on the surface of the skin or any kind of swelling or water retention.
Time for a couple of more questions. Tambora Music. Did we see the max potential of Gustavo Badell? Is he the best Latin Hispanic bodybuilder of all time?
I don't know if you consider him the best. I mean, Victor Martinez is pretty damn good. Was pretty damn good. Almost won the Olympia. So Gustavo his best was probably when he used to do those, back when they used to have that challenge round at the Olympia. They had a round where they would actually have the former Mr. Olympias judge this thing, and what it would be is each bodybuilder would get to call poses and challenge different other bodybuilders to, and then whoever had the most points at the end, there was a whole system of figuring this out, would win. Gustavo Badell actually beat Ronnie Coleman in the challenge round and was the challenge round champion one year, and that was, I think, probably the best we'd ever seen him. He was big, but he was smart. He actually knew which poses Ronnie was weak on, which was the side tricep, and that was his best pose. So it was more of a strategy type of a situation in the challenge round than it was actually who had the better physique, and I think that's why they got rid of it. Because, the Mr. Olympia didn't like losing that, obviously. But that was probably Gustavo's best. I mean, I think he was third at the Olympia one year. So he was pretty damn good, but then he disappeared, and I don't know if he was better or than Victor Martinez when Victor almost won the Olympia, when he should have won the Olympia from against Jay back in the day, but I would certainly say those two were among the tops.
Last question from CRG6868. Dave, this is the second straight year Shawn Rhoden will not be competing. Do you think he will ever be on an Olympia stage again? And can he ever win it again?
First of all, I think it's a travesty at this point that he hasn't gone to trial. Okay, according to the Constitution, we have a right to a speedy trial. I mean, this is anything but speedy. Now, if it wasn't affecting his ability to make money and do his profession, I would be like, who cares? Fine. If they want to prolong this thing, that's fine. But he can't do what he loves to do. Now, if he's guilty, he obviously deserves to go to jail. If he's not guilty, then this is terrible for him. And this is what's going on is a terrible thing because he's missing the prime years of his physique. I mean, he was reigning Mr. Olympia, for God's sake. So I feel bad in the sense that it's been taking so long to kind of get to trial, and I don't even know when his trial is set. Will we see him on an Olympia stage? I think we will if he is exonerated. If not, he's going to jail. I mean, there's no other way about it. In other words, Shawn, if he is cleared, will definitely compete again. I know Shawn. He loves bodybuilding. He wants to make a go at it again. He certainly wants to try to get back on stage and regain his title. There's no doubt about that. But obviously, if he gets found guilty, he's going to prison. And that's just the way it is. So we got to find out. Hopefully that they settle this thing sooner than later.
That's going to do for this episode of Ask Dave. Reminder, keep it locked for a 3-part sale on speciesnutrition.com. The first one's going to be announced tomorrow. It's going to be a Thanksgiving Day sale. The second one is going to be a Black Friday special. And then the third one is going to be a Cyber Monday special. All three are going to be unique. All are going to be different. And all are going to bring great value. Of course, the holiday shopping season. So they will be great stocking stuffers available for you at speciesnutrition.com. Keep it locked here. And then, of course, on the Species Nutrition Instagram handle. Again, if you have not already done so, subscribe below. Tons upon tons of Olympia content coming out over the next 2 to 3 weeks. And then, of course, our on-site coverage in Orlando of the 2020 Olympia. For Dave Palumbo and our producer, Tyler Shore, I'm Sadiq Baruki. We'll see you next time.